Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, my name is Ashley and I am a home renovator. I am a DIYer. I am a licensed real estate agent. Welcome to my channel. So just brief aside, I wanted to upload this video last week, but I thought we were done with her, but got me. And I'm finally starting to feel more like myself. I might sound a little bit nasally just because I do still have some lingering congestion, but I'm doing so much better. I feel so much better. So for this video today, I actually want to take you guys outside of the house. So far, we've seen everything inside the house. We've seen the demo, we've seen the painting, we've seen the flooring, the kitchen, the bathrooms, the rooms, the blinds, the windows. We've seen all those things. But I want to take you guys outside the house because some magic happened outside this house. Some pure magic. It's so good and I can't wait to share it with you. So let me take you back to what it looked like when we first purchased this house. It was a tan, yellowy cream house with a brown roof, and the roof was in really bad condition. I think it was the original roof and there wasn't any good upkeep being done to it. There were lots of missing shingles. It had lots of wind damage as well. And we found out that it had that wind damage during our home inspection. Next, it had this green trim and everything was trimmed out in green. The windows, the entryway, the post holding up the front porch. And if you know me, you know that green is my favorite color. That green is my girl. But this green needed some work. So I knew that I didn't want to keep the green. I knew that it needed a facelift. I knew that it needed some refreshing. And I just knew that the green had to go, unfortunately. One of the things that I talked about early on when we were talking about the demo is that all of the posts on the front porch were rotted. They all sustained some pretty dramatic damage from some carpenter ants. And so I knew that they weren't, one, structurally sound, and then two, they weren't visually pleasing. So I wanted to replace those with some brand new posts, just completely new. There was no repairing it or anything like that. I just wanted to get some brand new ones so we can start off with a clean slate now that the carpenter ant issue has been addressed. And then if you look in the front of the house, the landscaping was doing it no favors. There was a huge dead tree on the edge of the driveway. It was a large dead tree, some of the Arborvitae species, something in that realm. I wasn't sure because it was mostly dead. And it was preventing us from parking in the driveway properly. It was scratching up the car, so I knew that she had to go. Then there was a like U shape of bushes in front of the porch, and it was almost all dead. Once we got to dealing with it, we got to see exactly how chaotic it was in there. But I knew that it had to go, for one, because it was dead, and then two, it just was not complimentary to the house. So step one of the exterior renovation was actually getting some of the wood boards and wood trim replaced because it was rotting. So if you see here in this photo, you actually can see where the new wood has been placed before I actually went back and protected and painted it. So to get started with painting that, I actually did end up using the paint sprayer outside. I taped off all of the siding because I didn't want paint to get on the siding yet. I just wanted to paint the trim. You'll notice that you'll see photos where there is paint on the roof, and that was actually done intentionally. We timed the order of these projects so that all of the painting could be done before the roof was redone, so that I don't have to worry about getting paint on the roof. I can use the paint sprayer and speed up my time. So like I've mentioned in previous videos, I have the Wagner Control Pro 130 sprayer, and I use the same paint sprayer that I used inside the house, outside the house, and it worked great. One thing I will say that you kind of need to know before you do this, and something that I didn't really pay attention to. So if I put the paint sprayer on the ground and I use the sprayer on a ladder, it is so much harder for the paint to actually get to the spray nozzle. So I actually had to either set the bucket for the sprayer on a table or someone was holding it for me. So that's just something to know moving forward. The sprayer was cutting off on me sometimes just because I wasn't really paying respect to that. And then once I figured out what the issue was, I had no more issues moving forward. And y'all know I love Sherwin-Williams paint, so we used their paint as well for the exterior. By this point, me and the girls in the Sherwin-Williams store were besties. And I used the Emerald exterior acrylic latex paint. And I just used it in the white that it comes with. I did not get it tinted or anything. So I just purchased the gallons just like that. And one thing that's good about that, if you're using a white, if you just use the untinted base, you can return whatever you don't use. This did turn into a multi-day project. Like you guys know, there was a lot going on at this time. So I was coming over, doing the most that I could. And some of these days were like marathon days, but we weren't all able to get everything done in one day. And to some degree that was on purpose because I kind of wanted to see what it looked like in a small section of the house before I really committed to painting the entire house. So I started painting the white. I started painting the boards that were replaced just because I wanted those to get that layer of protection on them. And we moved from there. I sprayed the entire front patio, I think, on one day, and then I did all of the higher areas on another day. After I painted the windows in the patio and the ceiling area, I actually went ahead and power washed the siding and the driveway. My goal was to power wash the siding. How I ended up power washing the driveway, we'll just chalk that up to ADHD. But when I did power wash the driveway, it made a huge difference. I used some concrete cleaner that I purchased from Home Depot, and I will try to find what I used and link that down below. After I was finished, I was like, this is gonna look great. So I stepped back, took these photos, just in process photos. Like you'll see, not all of the boards have been changed yet, or not all of them are painted, but this was after day one. So the next day, you'll see me up on this ladder. I actually was terrified up here. My dad brought these ladders by, but I knew this job needed to be done, and I knew it needed to be done quickly. You'll see here that we ended up using some plastic with the tape already attached to it just to prevent getting a lot of overspray paint on the siding. I used that tape because it was just making it way easier than having to use a paint brush. So I was still able to use the paint sprayer because the plastic was catching all the overspray. I will say this day was actually windy, so it was kind of tricky to do it, and I didn't want to be getting paint all over the place. So after day 2 of painting, I was like, oh, we're doing something. We are doing something. We are making moves. This looks so good. I loved how the white trim just made the whole house look different. And I know I've talked to you about my dad and our creative differences throughout this project, but he was so adamant. He was so adamant about me changing the siding on the house. He was like, this house needs to be re-sided. I was like, just let me do this. Just let me do this trim and we'll talk about it. After I redid the trim, he was like, I didn't want to tell you this. He was like, I didn't want to tell you this, but the siding looks much better now. And so I was so happy because residing a house is not cheap, and it really would have taken us outside of our budget if we had to do that as well. It's looking this good and we still haven't even changed the roof yet. And throughout this project, one of the things that made me feel so good was there's actually a lot of foot traffic on this street. There's a lot of people walking their dogs, riding bikes with their kids. There's just a lot of people. All of the neighbors would walk past our house and be like, you guys are doing such a good job. It looks so good. It looks so much better. Thank you for renovating this house. Like, it was giving me all of the energy that I needed because, you know, just to have people who don't know me stop and be like, you're doing such a great job, that just really, I don't know, it just give me the warm and fuzzies. Right here, I'm showing you a black lantern that we installed for the exterior light in the front. I love this lamp so much. I will link this one down below as well. And one other thing that I want you guys to know here was that all of that green trim, it used to be blue, it used to be purple, it used to be a lot of different colors. And I only know that because there were so many of those colors on the actual siding. So what I did was I went to Sherwin-Williams and I brought a piece of trim that fell off the house. And I had them color match it to the siding. And so I was able to clean up the siding with paint that was actually color matched You can't tell that those posts or the trim was any other color ever, and it made everything just look so much more crisp and new, actually. Here is the front of the house. I took so many pictures because I was so proud. But I did blur out the numbers because I did install the numbers this day and they look good. They look good. I've gotten so many compliments from our delivery drivers, but I don't want to share my house number on the internet, so you guys won't be able to see them. But I'll link which numbers I actually use down below. So in this video, my dad is actually caulking around the windows in the front. They needed to just be sealed after those boards were replaced. My dad is actually standing on the roof shingles. We picked them up from a local vendor and we just placed them in the front yard just because the contractors who were coming to do the roof were going to be there the next day. And he was just standing on them because they were right there. There's no point in getting on a ladder. Be safe out there. Don't do what he does because he don't listen to me either. So as you can see, we did get a dumpster delivered to get all of the old shingles off the roof so that they can be disposed of. And then the contractors who were doing the roof, they actually scraped everything off onto our ugly landscaping. And I'm so glad that I hadn't made it pretty yet because it would have gotten ruined. But they scraped all the shingles off and just scraped them onto the ground, and then they put them into the bin. So here's what the house looked like after the roof was completely scraped, and they took off all the shingles, scraped off everything that they needed to scrape off, and they did new underlayment and new roof shingles. One thing I will say, if you're getting a new roof, you are gonna want to get a magnet. And that is because there were so many nails just loose in our yard. And one thing our contractors didn't do was a good job cleaning up. I was not very happy about it, but because I just wanted to get it done, I went and purchased a magnet, or actually my dad went and purchased a magnet, and we were able to use it. It has wheels on it, so you just roll it around your yard, and it's a super strong magnet, so it picks up all the nails. And that was really important to me, one, because of our tires on our cars, and then two, because I have a dog, and I would feel so terrible if I let him outside and he had gotten a nail in his paw. Oh, that would have sent me. Just be cautious about that. It's just something that you're gonna wanna look at if you're getting a new roof. So we actually went with a really dark color roof. I just knew that I wanted a lot of contrast on the outside of the house, so that would really stand out, and the dark roof looks so good. It took them 2 days to do the roof, and so they came and did the whole front, and then they came and did the whole back. And it came out so nice. I love the shingles that we chose. So here are some before and afters of what the house looked like before we purchased the house, and then what it looks like up until the roof was changed. And it looks so, so good. Just the roof, the trim, and getting the siding cleaned up, it looks so, so, so different and so, so, so good. So the company that I used for the dumpster, they actually drop the dumpster off in your driveway, and then once you're finished, you call them and let them know of the pickup time, and they actually come pick it up, so you don't have to do anything. And I love that, so I highly, highly recommend that. After we were done with the roof, I swatched some paint colors on the door because I knew I didn't want to leave it white. And my husband, his favorite color is blue and my favorite color is green. I ended up putting these two options, and I left them there for like a week, just so that every time I came home, I could kind of see what I liked, see which one was really drawing to me. And the blue-green color just really was doing it for me. Also, I was so happy to go with that color because it kind of reminds me of my mom. My mom was definitely a Tiffany girl, and even though this is not Tiffany blue, it's kind of in that same family. So it just reminded me of her, and it was something simple that could, you know, just make me smile every time I came home. So we couldn't have this beautiful house and then have raggedy looking landscaping. It just was not gonna work. So we had this idea, I think it was my dad's idea, that we tie the base of these bushes to my husband's truck and drive them out of the ground, essentially. And that didn't really work that well. It sounded great in theory, but when we actually started to do it, it just wasn't working out. The bushes were so split. Like what looked like one bush was really like 3 or 4 different sets of roots. And so when we would try to pull it out, it would be like little baby pieces coming out of the ground. So it was just it just wasn't working out. So we did this for a little bit. We got some of it out. It worked a little bit, but I don't feel like it was the high payoff reward that we were looking for. So if it's one thing about me, I'm gonna borrow some power tools from my dad, and he just so happened to get a brand new saw. So he came over and did some other landscaping stuff for us, and I just asked him if he can cut down the tops of the bushes for me, and he didn't really want to do it because he said that's not what his saw was for. But he ended up helping us. We ended up just pulling everything else out of the ground ourselves by hand. We ended up using some axes, some shovels, and some rakes, and that's pretty much how we got everything else out of the ground. It was hard work, but we ended up being able to get mostly of everything up. And there were a lot of rocks in this bed as well. And while I wasn't focused on getting every single rock out, I wasn't trying to keep them either. So we just got as much of it out as we possibly could, and it was pretty flat after that. So one day I'm out with my friend and we come back to my house and I see my dad in my front yard digging holes. And I'm like, what are you doing? And he's like, I'm digging the trench for the pavers that are gonna go around this mulch bed. And I'm just like, sir. So once he did that, I was just like, well, I guess we're doing landscaping now. And I was excited about it. It might've been the push that I needed because I did kind of like, I don't know, I let a lot of time pass in between this because there was just so much going on at this time. But I was really happy to get the push because it helped us clear all this stuff out. So basically, he dug a trench, and that is what's going to hold the pavers, the edgers that are going to encapsulate this mulch bed and separate it from the grass. So here is where we are for right now. This is just part 1. I am gonna show you guys part 2, and that's gonna include all of the landscaping and all the beautifying we did on the outside of the house, just the extras that really took it up another notch. So far, where we're at right this minute at the end of this video, it's major improvement, but there are some things that just could be done on the outside of the house. It would really take it up another level and just really bring that curb appeal. So I'm really excited to show you guys what we do next. So stay tuned, and I appreciate you guys for making it to the end of this video. Today's question of the day: if you had a very large mulch bed, what would you plant in it? What would be your main focus? Would you focus on a tree? Would you focus on some greenery? Do you really like flowers? What really does it for you in the landscaping in the front of your home? So just let me know below in the comments. That is all for today's video. I really appreciate you guys. Thank you guys so much for all the love and support. It is really appreciated. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and I will see you guys in my next upload.